I thought I'd do a short video review today of my brake system on my 65 Galaxy, since I converted over to disc brakes for pretty much under $250, all lines included. Now, I'm pretty sure that, and what I did was I found a set of spindles that were the exact same as my drum spindles. And on the full-size Fords, the 77, 78 Mercury Cougar or so spindles seem to work pretty well. So I picked those up with the rotors and calipers and all that on them for $70 total. So that was a pretty good deal, and I actually could reuse the rotors, so I saved a lot there. As far as master cylinder and proportioning valve and all that, and that's generally what people get into with custom systems and they're afraid of, what I have found is that you can use any master cylinder for a disc brake system, but you just have to change the push rod length. And then as far as the proportioning valve, when you have a custom system such as this, where it's a menagerie of different parts, I got one of these Willwood adjustable proportioning valves, and I plumbed it into the rear brake line, and I attached it to my firewall there. And that really seems to, you have a lot of adjustment there with it, and that seems to get everything where it wants to be, where the rear end is not overcoming the front disc brakes, because it takes a lot more fluid movement for the front and a lot less for the back, so you kind of have to regulate it down a little bit. So anyway, that's pretty much how I did it. And I did have to alter the push rod length, and might as well walk over there. I'm going to grab my stuff and take it out and show how exactly I did that. So here we go. Alright, so I got two master cylinders sitting here, and as I said previously, I used a 74 F100 master cylinder on my Galaxy, and I had to alter my push rod length, and I believe this is one of the other push rods that came with it. I got two push rods. You can see it's very long. Now if I can find a stock, now this is the stock push rod length of the Galaxy, for the Galaxy, so I mean obviously it's going to be much smaller, but you can't really measure off of the push rod to push rod, because because the geometry of the master cylinder is much different. So I also had this master cylinder. This is the original one, but anyway, now what I did, I'll grab a measuring apparatus. Now, I used a better tool of measurement than this, but what I did was I measured from the flange here, where it bolts to the firewall, up to the bottom of the hole, where the hole starts, and then I just take that measurement and shorten my push rod accordingly. So it's really not that difficult, but you want to be sure that you know what you're doing in that regard. So it's kind of like, and then when this one, you would have this in your other master cylinder, and you would measure the length, and you would cut out the difference. I better explain that as the best I can. So you would measure this one from the flange to the start of the hole, the very bottom of the hole there, and then you would have this one in your master cylinder that you're about to put in. Make sure you take your clip off, or you'll never get it out. I'm pretty sure they have to make a tool to get that out. I just don't have it. So I just take my clip off and I hold it down all the way, and I measure from my flange to the start of my hole on my new one, and then anyway, I had a little technical difficulty there right at the end of my video. So what I was saying was that you want to take this length to the center hole there, and then you would take this length from the flange to the bottom of the hole here, and you would reduce the push rod length or add to the push rod length by the difference. So, and that's pretty much how I did it. And I have perfect pedal travel, and with that Willwood, with the Willwood adjustable proportioning valve, I was able to adjust the bias on the rear so it was correct. So, and there you have it. And all that's left is you plumb the lines, and anyone who's totally silly, your rear line always goes to your front brakes. So that's the primary, is the rear line on the master cylinder. I've seen some people do it backwards, so anyway. So there you have it. Pretty sweet deal, and I have my own brake set up with disc brakes, since they don't make a kit for the full-size Fords. I have my own setup for under $250 pretty much, and just a little bit of time with measuring and adjusting. You know, you will have to get that push rod welded, so that's important, but I'm sure everyone knows someone with a welder, or they can have it done pretty cheaply. And like I said, this would work with any vehicle. You just would have to find the spindle that would go on the control arms with the right height. So, anywho, there you have it. Custom brake job.